Something really interesting is happening right now that is not getting the attention that it probably should, but it's something that would not be happening if Donald Trump did not win the election in November. And we know that because when Donald Trump was president the first time around and tried to call out the fake news looked at Donald Trump and laughed in his face, and nothing really changed. In fact, the opposite happened. The fake news dug in their heels and they doubled down over the course of 4 years. Russiagate, 2 impeachments, firing James Comey, the suckers and losers hoax, Charlottesville, the perfect phone call, COVID, the 2020 election, January 6th, peacefully and patriotically. And the fake news used all of that to attack Donald Trump on a daily basis. Their goal, delegitimize Donald Trump, but most importantly, make sure that Donald Trump is never elected president again. They tried their best. They tried every day, but they failed. Donald Trump was reelected in November. But now all of these same people in many of these news organizations that were never news organizations who spent years lying about Donald Trump are just suddenly gone. To the point where, and this is so important that I want to do it for a second straight night, Jim Acosta, who spent 4 years attacking Donald Trump on CNN from the White House, is now literally interviewing dead people on his really neat podcast. That's how bad it's gotten.
Joaquin, I would like to know what your solution would be for gun violence.
Great question. I believe in a mix of stronger gun control laws, mental health support, and community engagement. We need to create safe spaces for conversations and connections, making sure everyone feels seen and heard. It's about building a culture of kindness and understanding. What do you think about that?
I think that.
So when I first saw that, I thought, okay, a little sterile. But then I realized that that's an AI-generated version of someone named Joaquin who died 7 years ago, tragically. But it means that Jim Acosta and what he was doing is, by its very definition, fake news. That is fake news. He is interviewing a computer-generated version of somebody who died in 2018, and this is happening everywhere. At the Washington Post, the guy who was in charge of fact-checking Donald Trump just left the paper. They say he resigned. We all know nobody actually resigns. He was canned. The same guy who told the New York Times that the fact-checking team had compiled a database of more than 30,000 separate Trump claims. 30,000 Trump fact checks. Doesn't sound biased at all, right? Nothing fake news about that. Well, now that guy is gone and he will never come back. And at CBS this morning, the morning show on CBS, I know, I don't watch it either. Gayle King might be next, though, because Gayle is and always has been the problem with that show. And if you asked her co-hosts that question, they would say the exact same thing. Over the last decade, Gayle has had a continuously rotating cast of co-hosts as CBS News just desperately tries to find the right pieces to fit around Gayle. But for some reason, it just won't work. Charlie Rose, Norah O'Donnell, Anthony Mason, John Dickerson, Tony DeCopel, Nate Burleson, Jeff Glor, all Gayle King alumni. None of them seemed to work. But CBS could never put 2 and 2 together. They never seemed to figure out that maybe Gayle was the problem, that maybe moms waking up all across America had a hard time connecting with Gayle King, the part-time astronaut morning news host.
What do you think when people say, oh, it's frivolous? Number one, they call it a ride, which I find very irritating because they never say men went for a ride. What do you say to people who think that this was frivolous or just a ride? You know, I think the message that it sends is very, very powerful. And the people that say that, by the way, weren't there.
You can tell her co-hosts absolutely love her by that right there. Yet, Gayle, you are the problem. They pay Gayle $15 million a year, by the way, and the show has never moved out of last place because Gayle is the problem. It's you, Gayle. Get rid of Gayle, and the show will be much better. It was the same thing with Stephen Colbert. Donald Trump haters do not make good television hosts. That and the fact that his show was losing $40 million a year. $40 million a year. Think about that. Think about that. And Democrats can't seem to understand why that show would ever be canceled in the first place, which might explain why we are now $37+ trillion in debt. At ABC News, it was the exact same thing. After this little performance, which had nothing to do with reporting or seeking the truth, no, Terry did this for all of his buddies back in the newsroom at ABC in Washington and in New York.
Do you think the reputation of the United States has gone down under your presidency?
No, I think it's gone way up, and I think we're a respected country again. We had a president that was grossly incompetent. You knew it, I knew it, and everybody knew it, but you guys didn't want to write it because you're fake news.
All right. Thank you.
And by the way, ABC is one of the worst, I have to be honest with you.
Thank you.
Donald Trump called him fake news to his face, and he thanked him twice. Not long after that, Terry tweeted that Donald Trump's deputy chief of staff is a, quote, man who is richly endowed with the capacity for hatred. He's a world-class hater. He eats his hate. Trump is also a world-class hater, but his hatred is only a means to an end, and that end is his own glorification. And after that, old Terry boy was fired from ABC News. And then right after that, just a couple of days ago, Terry said on his Substack what he could never say when he worked at ABC News. Quote, I worked at ABC for almost 28 years. Were we biased? Yes, almost inadvertently, I'd say. ABC News has the same problem so many leading cultural institutions in America have, a lack of viewpoint diversity. First of all, ABC News is not a cultural institution, Terry. But yeah, Terry, we know that ABC News is biased. Welcome to the party, Terry. My question, why can't any of these people admit that when they still work at these places? Remember when the CEO of NPR claimed that NPR was not biased?
Is NPR biased?
Congressman, I have never seen any instance of political bias determining editorial decisions. No.
Well, Mr. Berliner, in his story last year, wrote, in the D.C. area, editorial positions at NPR, he said he found 87 registered Democrats, 0 Republicans. 87 to 0, and you're not biased.
I think that is concerning if those numbers are accurate.
Okay, so she is on her way out as well, and she will likely join a growing list of people that nobody seems to miss or even remember or even realize that they're gone. And that's why we're doing this tonight. In fact, so many people and media, fake media, organizations, the fake news media, when Joe Biden was president, they were alive and well. They no longer are, because lying is no longer in vogue in this country. In the list borders on absurd. Joy Reid, Chuck Todd, Don Lemon, Norah O'Donnell, Lester Holt, PBS, Alex Wagner, Mehdi Hassan, Stephen Colbert. Media matters because media matters never really mattered, did it? And one of the all-time great sellouts in media history joined that list just today. Howard Stern, who at one point was the most popular media personality in America. Donald Trump, pre-politics, used to go on the show all the time. He's a New Yorker. He'd go in studio and talk to Howard Stern. But that changed when Howard Stern turned into this.
The oddity in all of this is the people Trump despises most love him the most. Go look at Mar-a-Lago, see if there's any people that look like you. I'm talking to you in the audience. The Trump voter who, idolizes the guy, he despises you. I don't hate Donald. Donald's doing his thing. I hate you for voting for him, for not having an intelligence, not able to see what's going on with the coronavirus, not able to see what the Justice Department is doing. I hate you. I don't want you here.
It is a fact, and this is embarrassing for Howard, but more people will watch this program tonight than listen to his program tomorrow. Again, he was the Johnny Carson of the media, radio and television and Sirius XM at one point not that long ago. So in just 9 months' time since the election, Donald Trump has finally broken the fake news, a project that started in 2015. He has exposed them for what they are and what they have always been to you. to millions of people just like you. And the media landscape, as a result, is changed forever. It will never be the same, meaning people like Gayle King will now have a lot more time to spend in outer space while we continue to try our best to report the news as it happens, honestly and without apology.